Hello, welcome to Piece of Pat Paints. I'm Pat. I paint things here on the internet. That's why we call it. I mean, all that seems pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, we like to have a good time around here. Like to laugh. Like to it's all very free form. So just kind of work on whatever it is that I feel like we can work on. If anybody ever has anything they want to see in particular, let me know. I'll do it. There's all sorts of things we paint and do around here. So I think I have something like, if you count all my videos, total I have like 500 some odd videos. I know I have over like 300 lives. We're at what, 40 something. So like I have tons of live videos where you can see us painting things live without a net. So like there's no like editing and going back. I think I have like one edited video where I need to take one of those like excuse me. I need to take one of those like film classes on like the Skillshare or whatever it is. I don't know what those websites are called. I can't remember. But that'd be a good idea. I should do that. I probably won't, but it's a good idea and I should do it. I have so many things going on in my life. I have kids and they're very busy people. And oh man, my camera's all sorts of crazy. Good thing I'm wearing shorts. You can see where I dribbled my coffee on myself, which that's funny. All right, here we go. Yeah, I was messing around with stuff yesterday. All right, so basically, we're gonna try to get these guys to look like this. That's the idea. So let's run down. So that's our basic idea. We've got a little ways to go, get some things to handle, but pretty easy peasy. He looks nice in black, even though it's not a true black, which is fun. It gives us kind of a chance to talk about how black works. So like I think like a Mars black there's a bunch. Oh god, there's several different blacks. I prefer Mars. Mars is kind of like dark gray scale. But golly. I have upper respiratory issues, which is why I had to retire as a chef. I am no longer able to do that. So I apologize for all the coughing. But it happens. Anyway, so even that black is like, it's based on some other because true black would technically be the absence of all light because of how color works in the eye and blah 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 blah. If you want to know more about that, there's going to be there's tons of science shows out there that can really explain it in ways that I simply can't. So all your blacks are like either really dark green, really dark blue, really dark gray, a little dark brown, or a mix of these things, right? And so because we have to create some sort of pigment, and like nothing we have is like actually black. We make things look black to our eye. And then you also have to add the fact that anything you're looking at, even if it is black, like if it's the darkest black thing you could make, when you look at it, isn't black, right? It's not. It's the light is bouncing off of it. The light is bouncing back to your eye, and you're gonna see some light. So there's some sort of edge to it. So when I'm making things that are black like this, I try to remember that, right? So this guy is actually blue. It gets hard to tell that it's blue, but now that I've said it, you're probably starting to see that it's blue. But it's so subtle that it doesn't really look that way. Now it looks more blue the more closer you get to the green, or if I have my little fancy light on and the blue light hit it, and you could hit the blue light, it would look real. It would look really blue. But it is black because we're also using, you know, a titanium black oil wash on top of that, right? To give it the oil grimy look. So it is black, but it is also blue in a way. Because what we're doing is we're taking Payne's gray and we're kind of leveling up. And you can see how this one looks. That looks almost black, but it's not. It's technically a really dark blue gray. That's very close, right? And you see with one coat on there, you can see how it's a little bit bluer. As you set that coat on there, it looks that way, and then we add a wash, and we get to this. And that's just kind of how black works. Now, the reason we do that is so that when the lights are bouncing off it, it does have a little bit more. It helps with this edge highlighting stuff we're doing, which you almost can't even tell this there when you look at this, but it's there. It's just super subtle, and black's like that. Black is just a subtle thing. So anywho, our guys did turn out really well. All our kit bashing has gone well. These guys look fantastic. That tech marine is one of my favorite things I've ever made. I'm very excited to let some kid have this. Not just some kid. I just say that because you don't want to like mention people's names like that's not cool. What's that called? There's a name for that. Was it doxing? Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'll get along as far as to say a man and his son. So, and that's about it. All right. Golly. So, this arm on Deathwatch is silver, right? Yeah. So we don't want to paint that. We don't have to paint that. We don't have to worry about it. We also have to worry about these because those are going to be silver. Those are not silver, but lead belch or whatever. These are metal. These are, you know, the leather color. So just kind of take a look at like what all we don't actually have to paint in this blue color, and then start painting them. Now, one of the things I'll tell you about painting Space Marines in particular, start actually from the legs and work your way up. Just because of the way you have to hold it when you're painting the legs, because your fingers are going to be all over this. So if you don't have a fancy painting handle or you don't like them, to keep trying to train myself to get used to these dang things. But you can also try to use this where you're doing that. But I think I'm just too old. I think I got stuck in my ways. Dang it. I used to criticize people for that. But anyway, the old school way to do this is to start at the bottom. Because like I said, you're going to want to hold it like this so you can get at it. You don't want to wipe everything off the tops of everything. So if you start on the bottom, it's dry by the time you need to touch it. At least it's most of the time. Some of the time. Okay, every now and again. It's usually dry. It is. I'm being funny. I've been painting Space Marines for dang near my whole life. I've been painting these silly ass things. Try to make sure when you get everything colored in, especially on anything that says to have nice, clean panels. You're going to clean up your clean up your brush strokes. Golly. I wonder what the pollen count is today. I'm getting assaulted in my throat. Feels like I swallowed a slug. Brutal. Big old salted slug, one that's melting on its way down your throat. That's disgusting. What is wrong with me? I apologize. Unless, of course, you think that's funny, in which case I enjoy. Okay. Keep on trucking. It said in the doobly doo, thanks for everybody who jumps in, watches these shows. That's awesome. You guys are the best. Thanks for all the likes, the subscribes, the view hours. You've been cranking out some view hours lately, which is cool. That's the next hurdle after we clear this first one. So first hurdle is getting to that 500, and then after that we clear some amount of time that's done. Oh my god, that dog is already chomping at the door, like chopping around. 10 minutes in. I didn't let her out yesterday, and she pooped in the house. Well, maybe that was while I was working, or out driving around, which is also working. Anyway, Uber's weird. It just feels like you're driving around, picking up like random people. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. Yeah, here you go. Okay, I'm back. All right. I mean, not that you couldn't see that on the camera, but anyway. Oh, gosh. Dogs. Gotta love them. But, man, they always pick the most inopportune time for things. Like, okay, yes, I understand that you need to go outside, but you could have done that like 5-10 minutes ago. Come on now. Well, I guess, what, 15 minutes ago? I guess that's appropriate. Gotta slow down as a human and start going, yeah. I make you come inside. Most of that's because she'll be a terrorist if she's left outside. Do not want to leave that dog to her own devices. It will be bad. She is still a pit bull. And if she wants to eat something, she's going to eat it. Much to the chagrin of probably several chickens out here. Positive that dog's eaten somebody's chickens before. Alright, now this arm is blue. Well, not blue, black. It's going to be black. I say blue. It's black. Technically, this is Payne's gray. And this one does have its... Conveniently, you can hold this guy by his little... Dealy Walker. Crane. Claw. It's a claw and a drill at the same time. Pretty cool. You can also buy those handles that have like a little thing at the top of them. I haven't gotten any of those yet. Maybe I should try one of those. Or then again, I might be, I'm telling you guys, I might be stuck in my ways. I might be just so used to the way I paint it that I can't change. And like that frustrates me a little bit, if I'm honest. I don't like that I can't adapt and change. But there is a point where you get so used to doing something a certain way that it's hard to learn a new way. I can definitely see the advantages to things like paint handles and such like that. Which is why I think I lament the whole situation. I'm like, man, this seems like a great idea. I don't know why I can't get behind using it. Who knows? In that life. Now you could probably airbrush all this stuff. It'd be way faster. But it's absolutely not necessary. I don't know, sometimes I think you're better off not airbrushing things. I feel like sometimes you lose. It's like a fur. What's that? That was weird. I don't know what that was. Oh no. Oh well. Like, that's not where that's supposed to be. Why is that burr? How could that be a burr from the sprue that are not? That's not everywhere they are on these packs. What is going on? Maybe it was something that was when I dry brushed it, the white on. It might have left that there. Who knows? That's weird. And that's why you pay attention to your stuff as you go. You just watch what you're doing, and try to do it when you're thinking straight. Don't mess around with your models when you're too let's say inebriated. It sounds like fun. It always goes bad. Alright, so you'll let that one set and let your first coat get dried out. And you'll put a second coat on there, and that'll actually get it down to the darkness that we're looking for. Which look a lot like this guy. And then once you, or no, that guy's still on stage 1 too. They'll look like this guy here. So anyway, we'll work on this one since he is there, and he's got a nice sweet helmet. That's awesome. All right. So to get this crimson color, I do a 2-stage. This is an Alizarian crimson. We're going to start off with that as our base coat, and that's really going to help saturate that darker part of our highlighting with a nice deep maroon color. Kind of a hard angle to see right there, isn't it? Alright, we'll have to pick pauldrons too, like what color we want their pauldrons. because that's like super important. Anybody have any suggestions on? I mean, obviously we have 3 Space Wolves. We have a Tech Marine. I'm gonna make this guy Dark Angel, our leader. So, but we have a ton of other ones, and I did get we have a Blood Angel on the jetpacks, and we have a White Scar, which is pretty fun. That was a fun symbol to try and paint. Good lord. Yellow on white with red. So fun. Alright, and then a Raven Guard. Yeah, which is great. Which has got a little schmutzy with some of the wash, but I kind of left it there. It's kind of, you know, a little schmutzy. It's alright. I might fix it out later. We'll take a look at it. Anyway, so yeah, we need to figure out what other colors we need to make our troops here, or I mean, what other chapters. This is Lead Belcher, which is a Games Workshop product. So you know, we're actually putting Games Workshop paint on a Games Workshop model, which is super rare in this studio. It doesn't happen very often. I don't. For those of you who don't watch the show a lot, I don't use standard paints. I use a higher end acrylic. It's not really a model paint necessarily, but that's what I got trained on, so that's what I'm used to having around. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, you get used to doing a certain thing a certain way, and you just kind of stay on that little vein. And give this guy like a Lamenter's Pauldron, this ancient, just for funds. That'd be hilarious. Anybody, like I said, if anybody else got any idea, any specific chapters they want to see, holler, and I will try to do their chapter symbol on one of the pauldrons. There's a ton of these pauldrons I gotta figure out, and I can make a bunch of them like ultramarines or whatever. That's easy. But it'd be fun to do maybe 2 or 3 other fun ones. We've got some Space Wolves that we kit bashed. We've got a Tech Marine, and they have already specifically set pauldrons. But it would be cool to do something else. Like I said, Lamenters would be fun. So if anybody's got any ideas, just throw it out there. Let's do the best. I'll do my best to figure out if we can get it done or not. Probably can. I'm pretty confident in my abilities. which is good, right? I should be confident in my abilities. Now we're just gonna throw a real base paint job on a lot of these guys. We've spent most of our time painting the Death Guard portion of this box, so it's and then we spent more on the kit bashing for this side of it. So we'll keep this paint scheme super fast and super simple. That way we can really bang them out pretty quickly. Okay, I want to leave that brass, or that when we come back with brass, bronze. My bronze looks like brass. Anyway. Very lightly. You really, the Aquila is you really want to be careful. Do not come at this with really gloopy, sloppy paint. You will lose all of the little pieces in it. It'll all go away. So make sure you're coming through with, you know, a good thinned version of that paint. I definitely think we're gonna make this guy elemental. That'd be cool. I'll make sure I get that full story for that, and we'll definitely tomorrow we'll paint some stuff on this guy. As by tomorrow I'll have all the doodads on the other guys ready. Rock and rolling. Okay, so all right, and then use a. I need to get some fresh. Definitely time for some fresh. Look at that. When it comes off like that, it's definitely time for the fresh stuff. But it's still gooey enough that you can like, oh yeah, put it on the ball of paint. For those of you who don't know about, or not part of this show for a while, and I've not seen the great ball of paint, I'm creating a giant ball of paint, which I actually think eventually I'm going to make into like a tube so that we can slice it, and then we can have like sections of like this whirligig paint, like whirly paint thing, and then we can set it in like some portals, and then we'll sell them. Or maybe by then we can give them away to a bunch of, you know, subscribers or whatever. Who knows? Anyway, that's me goofing off. You come. Okay, so let's see. It's Ross, yeah. Well, So raw sienna is like a burnt orange. It looks great as leather. Now, if you wanted a little bit more suede brown leather, you could go with a raw sienna. But you don't want to go with like an umber for these, because that'll come out way too dark. And it starts out looking super orange, but as it fades down, it looks more like leather. Especially once you get a wash on top of it. You see that on its second coat, it's going to look a lot more like leather. And then as it finishes up with your wash coats on it, it looks a whole lot more like hardened leather. So back on our Techmarine over here. Put a little bit of that on there. Pretty sure everybody wants to see the Techmarine done. It may just be me geeking out on it, but he seems like he might be the coolest of the batch. Although those space wolves are pretty cool. I guess it all depends on what allegiances you have to. I have no allegiances. I just like painting. Now the dog wants it. Good Lord. A mess. See, it's a very specific weapon. I might even go add in some other. We might even darken up some of these other things, but we want to wait. We kind of want to wait till after we throw a wash on this thing, really to look at it, because a lot of this is going to get super dark on its own. We've got some other places to add in some color here too. So, and I did go ahead and drill this barrel out off camera, just so everybody knows. I forgot to do it yesterday. I was putting the dry brush on it, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I missed that. Ugh, that dog. Alright, pupper. I'm coming. Oh my gosh. Alright, be back again. Oh. Okay. Doggo, doggo, doggo. Brass on bronze. Either way, this is a very shiny bronze. Looks kind of brassy, but it is. It's a bronze technically. The name of it is bronze fine. Bronze iridescent fine. It is a golden acrylics color. I love it. Second coating on this guy. You almost can't even tell if that was a kit bash weapon. Now that's all getting painted. Looks great. We even have a little splash of crimson. Actually, I might even make this part crimson too. All the way up to that ring. Yeah, like that. We'll leave that interchange as a gunmetal. Lead belcher, whatever they're calling it nowadays. Lead belcher, I think is the name of it. It's definitely a gunmetal color. Oh, I do have a dark one, which we might pop. Like I said, we might pop in some dark ones as we get some. Like I might make that a darker silver, but we'll throw in there. We'll throw the wash on it. Take a look at what it actually looks like. Wash. By then, you might not even be able to. It might be so deep in tone that we won't even worry about coloring it. Yeah, that's pretty nice little kit bash weapon right there. Look legit. I'm pretty happy with that. It's always nice to be happy with yourself, isn't it? Little lead belcher on all this. Again, it's a nice gunmetal gray color. It'll work out for most objects. We want to have a steely gray. I mean, it's a great base because you can always come over the top of it with another metallic or another color. It's a kind of gray where it's not going to pop through. You know, it won't interfere with another color necessarily as much as, say, silver or like an aluminum color or the bronze. Heck yeah, we're doing great on time today. Same thing here. We're just going to give it that once over. This lid pelcher. Get our colors started. That's definitely what base coats are all about. If we want to change them up a little bit later, we definitely can. We want to get an eye out for what we're doing. You know, marine paint schemes are pretty simple too. So like I said, we spend a lot more of our time on the Death Guard side of the Dark Imperium box. That requires a little bit more finesse with painting. There's a lot more to those pieces. Can't go quite as fast. The brush is still a little loaded even though I rolled it. And that's pretty darn thin coat, which is great. That's one of the things I love about Citadel is metallics, is they usually, you can thin them down pretty far. They even sell airbrush versions of all their, well, not all, but a lot of their stuff. So you can, if you really like it thin, you can buy airbrush versions of them, which is as thin as it gets without thinning it down, you know, yourself. Oh my gosh, more Ryan Walters. I'd be so glad when that guy's gone. This guy's got a super special Aquila. He's got an Imperial insignia on it. And we also need to, down here where his little cables are, probably his little, all that, we want to turn that steel. And we'll come back to that. I can't remember exactly which color that is. Lots of fun with base coats. Ooh, lots of fun with base coats. It's a Naples yellow. Make sure it's thin. Do not want to go obscuring any of those details, especially those eye sockets for that skull. Okay. Alright. More space holes. Lots of cool details. God, he's so awesome. Okay, so Payne's Gray is actually the base. This is something I wanted to show you guys. So the base, if you want to make a woven gray, it's Payne's Gray and white. And just a touch of phthalo blue, if I remember right. And you can get that Phrygian gray or whatever they call it without having to pay all the money. Because it is. It's just phthalo and white and phthalo blue, white, and I just said it. Payne's gray. Do they even paint their phaser pistols that color? I don't remember. There's not even a phaser pistol, it's like a plasma pistol. I know the base of this will be that color. So anyway, so there it is. You know, you could almost pull that. I mixed that by eye, but you could almost pull up a jar of it and set it next to it, and it's gonna be that color right there. Pretty darn close. And that's why it's really important to not be afraid to learn all your colors so that you're not really beholden to one particular brand of paint as an end-all be-all solution to everything. Because what happens, like right now, everything GW in America is getting ready to skyrocket. And if you live in Australia, cool, man, they're paying a lot of money for GW products in Australia. It's crazy. We do need to look that up, though. We need to make sure. We need to know for sure whether or not that gray is for that plasma pistol. Most of the time, plasma pistols are metallic. Yeah, metallic. Okay. That's what I was wondering. All right. Well, we can definitely set that color. That'll work. And they like their yellows and stuff like that. So I'm looking for more of these places that need that gray. Paint that whole part of that in. Nice and thin, nice and thin. I'm gonna have to fill in those gaps more than anything. Gives it that base color underneath. So when we come back through, we can put a wash on it, or put bronze on it and wash it and go from there. This will look great with the wolves bronze, and the outside armor bronze. We'll come back and do a little bit more of that. Do another coat of it after a minute. Okay, like I said, you want to let things dry in between your rounds. Now the rest of it is going to be straight Payne's gray, so you can see the difference in the darkness between how you can level, how versatile this color is. Because that color and that color is mostly out of this same color that you're seeing go down now. This really dark bluish gray. So it's very important to learn how to mix your colors properly if you want to save money and really not be beholden to things. Because I'll tell you another thing that Games Workshop themselves are actually guilty of this, but a lot of paint companies have to do this because they run out of a certain color. Is they'll have, that pigment is unavailable permanently because you just literally can't get the pigment. It's regulatory or whatever. Hey, it's Sir McBeardsly. Good to see you, my friend. No worries, brother. Just talking about color theory and pigments as usual. So your pigments. Sometimes those pigments don't exist anymore. You just literally can't get them anymore. Regulatory, or the thing that makes them went extinct, or there's just things that make it to where you can't do that. Like the most famous example is Mummy Brown. I think we've talked about it before, but it's always fun to go revisit Mummy Brown. That's a fun one. So they literally had an oil paint called Mummy Brown, and yes, it was in fact made out of mummy. They were grinding up the mummies and turning it into an oil paint, and you could paint something mummy. Mummy, you know what I mean, Mummy Brown, which is awful and hilarious. I really shouldn't have laughed at that. It makes me a little bit callous, a little bit gross, but that's okay. I'm old. I can live with it. It's kind of funny, but yeah. We're wild. The humans are wild. So anyway, eventually they got to where we as humans figured out, hey, we probably should stop, grinding up the dead and using them as paint, and switch to something a little bit more sustainable, maybe. And that is why if you find Mummy Brown now, it's most likely it's a synthetic. It's not. They've made it to where it looks like the old Mummy Brown, but it's not really. Which is kind of that's fun. I love that they still are trying to mimic it, just because of the entertainment factor of it. To me, it's kind of the same thing as the corpse starch idea. If you follow 40K, where these models come from, then corpse starch. It's a lot of the poor government workers and stuff like that eat corpse starch, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Literally grinding bones to make the bread. Kind of on the nose there. Warhammer can be like that. It likes to sometimes just slap you in the face with the insanity of it all. I mean, I just I love this. Sir McBeardsly says, imagine you're an important figure in Egypt and some dudes come along, uproot your resting place, then grind you into a paint pigment for probably some bad paintings. Yeah. And some good ones. There's some good ones. Hopefully, raw willing, you ended up on some good ones. I guess that would be Anubis, though, because you're dead, right? Not raw. I don't know. Maybe it's set. Maybe you had to sell yourself to set the god of snakes or something. I don't know. Who's the god of arts? I know they say Thoth was knowledge. Who is arts? Is it Baset? No, that's cats. I don't remember. We'd have to look that one up. Alrighty. Deathwatch doesn't seem to be nearly as time-consuming as Death Guard. Although we haven't gotten to painting a whole lot of pauldrons yet. I've only done 3. I'll probably do a couple easy guys tonight. We'll do up the basics. I guess I could show you guys a couple of them. I'll work on all the other little details and stuff, and then we'll come back and we'll do some pauldrons and stuff later. Or not later today, but like tomorrow. And always kind of like I'm working up and around, right? I'm always kind of trying to make sure I'm watching around as I go, and work up and around and up and around. You really don't want to miss anything, even though you are going to do 2 coats. You got a chance to come back and hit it again, but it always looks a little wonky if you over rush the second coat on top of like. So like if you find a place where you missed and you do 1 coat on top of it and you try to wait for a second and then just hurry up one, it never comes together quite well. So you're always ending up having to wait, make sure it dries out completely. So it's better to kind of catch those first coats that first time and get, you know what I mean? It's not always possible, you know. Everybody makes mistakes, and sometimes you just can't see. You just don't see it. You just for some reason didn't set that angle. Especially when you're painting large amounts of the same army color. A couple friends of mine paint in squads to keep themselves from getting too bored, but I'm like, man, that slows you down. It's so much better to be able to just knock it all out. Little hand about to escape from me. So yeah, if you're giving us a shot, giving us a watch for the first time, appreciate you. Thanks for coming by. If you're giving us a watch for the, you know, 2nd or 20th time, appreciate you too. If you give us a like, appreciate that a lot. Give us a subscribe, really appreciate that. If you've already subscribed, I appreciate you. There's all the appreciations out of the way, which are all heartfelt. I mean it. Contrary to my rough exterior, I am actually pretty much of a softie. At least I can be. I like people and I like being nice to people. I'll try to be around tomorrow. Taking girlfriend's mom to get her back injections. Oof, brutal. Good luck to her with that. Definitely glad that ain't me. No worries, mate. It's always good to see you, brother. We'll be back tomorrow with some more exciting things. I'm definitely going to knock out a lot of this other stuff off camera. I just wanted to start showing you guys where some of these base coats run and how we're trying to do them. We'll get into some other stuff tomorrow. Great poses. I love these guys. Really excited to see them finished up. Yeah, because we want to hazard stripe this, right? You guys want to see hazard stripes on that? Because I want to see hazard stripes on it. Because that'll be epic. What kid doesn't want things with hazard stripes, right? Plus it's small, so it should be easy. When you're doing a large area, that's when you really got to get super accurate with it. A small one here, you can almost just go and you're good. As long as you got a pretty good eye. Hey, throwing stuff all around. Silver buckles. Silver buckles makes me chuckles. Oh man, they're gonna look great, guys. These are gonna look awesome. All right, well, my friends, just down here. All right, well, thanks for coming by. Anybody who stopped by and gave us a watch, thank you, Sir McBeardsly, for hollering out on the chat. It's always fun to have people to talk to. Makes things go a little smoother and a little bit more entertaining. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, working on tomorrow. Yeah, Friday. So we'll be back tomorrow working on some more of these guys. I'm gonna get some more of the space coding stuff knocked out and things like that, and then we'll get these guys out and out of our hair and to our patron who paid for them to be painted. That these actually belong to. None of these models actually belong to me. Well, I mean, I guess parts of them do or did. They don't anymore because I gave them to him. I swapped out. I stole some of his swords, I guess. That's the nature of kid bashing. I gave you some of my parts and I kept some of yours. So that's just how that goes. Not that he would want anything to do with the parts. Anywho, my thing that I most coveted is we got to add to our clear. I don't actually have a lot there. Here it is. I don't actually have a lot of the clear sprue goo. I get kind of obsessive about these weird things like this. It's like, man, sprue goo is legit. If you want to be able to kit bash, you need sprue goo. It's at least kit bashing these kind of models. And if you want to see what that is, go back and check out the kit bashing videos from the last couple of days, and you can see what sprue goo is all about. It's pretty awesome stuff. I think that's all I got for today. We'll be back tomorrow to do some more of this, and then take off for the weekend and be back Monday. I have a feeling we're going to be done with this Monday or Tuesday. Will probably be the end. I'll have a lot of this knocked out over the weekend. I want to make sure we get to see some stuff on the show though. So like, I don't know. Maybe we can do like a Saturday paint-a-thon, like a bonus episode or something like that. Let me know. Maybe I'll put a post up or something, and we'll do like a paint-a-thon and get cray and paint for like hours and hours. Well, it shouldn't take hours and hours. Heck, I'm almost done. Most of these guys are already got their base coats on. I just have to finish. The ones that I kit bashed are behind. Anyway, that's me. Enough of me yapping. Thank you all again so much for coming by. Really, really appreciate it. It's awesome to be able to do these sort of things, and we'll keep doing them. And you guys keep watching. Anyway, be good to somebody you don't know. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. Spread some goodness. We've got enough the other stuff going around, so spread a little bit of the good. That's the way it should be. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. Bye.